Welcome to the Contrarians, where we are right and you are wrong. I'm Julio.
And I'm Alex. Here on the show, we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine. For the first half of each episode, Contrarians Corner, we trash the fresh red tomatoes and praise the rotten green splotches, making our case any way we can.
The aptly titled Real Talk serves as the second half of each episode. This is where we discuss our true feelings on the movie we're covering. For more information on our podcast and to browse past episodes, you can head over to our website, wearethecontrarians.com.
From there, you can also access our Patreon and merchandise, because capitalism.
If you enjoy our attempts at comedic film discussions, we encourage you to subscribe and leave us a review on whatever podcatcher you use.
If you'd like to reach out to us directly, that's what social media is for. You can find us on most platforms as @ContrarianPrime.
You can also see what we look like if you go to youtube.com/@ContrarianPrime, and you can contact us by email at wearethecontrarians@gmail.com.
I think that covers it.
Then it's time for the podcast. And we are recording for Contrarians Corner for official competition.
Hello and welcome to the Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. My name is Alex, joined as always by my Peruvian counterpart and my brother in the Battle of the Contrary, Julio Oliveira. Here today to discuss a movie I had never even heard of, and 2021 is still that we're in the throes of,
yes,
everything. So I guess it's not surprising. This didn't make too much noise upon release, but a very highly regarded film that we'll be discussing today at 96% on Rotten Tomatoes official competition, adding yet another international film into our ever-expanding library. We got at the helm Penelope Cruz, Antonio Banderas, and then not the accountant from The Office, but Oscar Martinez, who, Julio, do you have much familiarity with this gentleman?
No, but I thought you were going to say not Kevin Kline, because he looks like Kevin Kline in that poster. I felt cheated. I felt that was a bait and switch.
Kevin Kline just speaking Spanish.
Why not? He's a talented man.
Before I forget, question. When you watch this movie, Julio, do you even have the English subtitles on, or do you just listen to it solely in Spanish?
No, I have them on because I like to know what you are reading. That way, I don't keep track of it, the entire time, but every now and then they'll say something and I'll glance at the subtitles so I can see how it was translated in English.
There were a few things in this that came across kind of wonky in English that I imagine they were just literal translations. But anyway, yeah, official competition. The Spanish language black comedy drama from Gaston Duprat and Mariano Con. It looks as though they are a duo that has worked together in the past. Julio, have you seen any of their other work?
No, I took a glance at their filmographies and I guess if I read correctly, they're from Argentina, right? They're not Spanish, like from Spain.
They are Argentinian, yes.
Okay, so that's interesting that this movie is set in Spain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Penelope Cruz and Antonio Banderas are from Spain, and then this guy Martinez, he is from Argentina, and then they allude to that at some point in the movie. They're like, he's been living in Spain for so long, and he still has the Argentinian accent. I hadn't noticed. So it wasn't until I was researching a little bit after the fact that I realized that Antonio Banderas was actually commenting on real life. He wasn't just being annoying in the movie. So, no, I'm not familiar with anything from these writer-directors. I don't know this Oscar Martinez guy from anything. But thankfully, I know Penelope Cruz and Antonio Banderas from a lot of things. So yes. I had some stuff to hold on to.
This did make me realize that I am not versed in the ways of Penelope Cruz, specifically in a leading role. I've seen her in several things, just as kind of like a background character, but never, I've never seen Vicky Cristina, or excuse me, not that. That was the other one she got nominated for an Oscar for. What's the leading role she got nominated for?
Was it Volver?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an Eddie Strait favorite that I still haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't either. The point being, I'm just not familiar with her as a leading lady.
So were you surprised when she got first billing?
No, because I know she is a leading lady, and she's a multiple time. Antonio Banderas is obviously one of the more famous actors of his era, but No, because I know she's to be taken seriously. I just haven't seen much with her in it in any kind of leading role. And also, I'd think of Kate McKinnon's impression of her when I think of her. So
That's not a good thing.
Because it's really funny. You ever seen that skit where Sofia Vergara hosted, and the skit was they're doing like a shampoo commercial, and it was Sofia Vergara playing herself, and then Kate McKinnon was Penelope Cruz, and the joke was they gave him all these words to describe like the product, and they gave Sofia Vergara like words like shiny, and they gave Penelope Cruz like the names of all the chemicals in the shampoo, and she couldn't pronounce them in English. Like that was the joke. But anyway, flexing her comedy muscles in this, which is not, I'm even less used to with Penelope Cruz. And well, let's just run down the stats before we get to it, Julio, because I think there's a lot to unpack, because this isn't what I would necessarily call a plot-heavy movie, but it's the execution and what it wants to be that I think we're going to take to task here in the first portion of the show. So, Julio, first of all, why are we doing this movie?
This is a Ben Murray patron demand. Ben has a lot to say about this movie, Alex, and we'll find out what exactly he says in Real Talk. But just so you know, he threw this for the main feed, and he said on the patron chat, he said, when you watch the movie and you see Martinez, think of me. I was like, oh God, what does that mean?
That makes sense. I missed that comment, but yeah, I can see Ben taking pride in that level of pretension.
Yeah, that was. If any of you have listened to the Filmbusters, then you can probably make that connection after you watch or as you watch Official Competition. Everybody has their own areas of pretension in this movie, but I guess if you have to line up a character with the way our beloved Ben Murray is, then yeah, Ivan, that would be him, Oscar Martinez. This comes to us courtesy of Ben, who I think it's been 2 years now, when he decided to spend a whole year just watching movies that were not in English, or at least not American or British. So I think maybe I think that might have been when he ran across this one, or maybe he just, he's a well-rounded cinephile, so maybe he just found it as he was scouring the internet. But I knew that he liked it. I'd heard him praise it on his show, and I am glad that this landed on the final slot of Contrarians 2025. This is how we close the year, and funnily enough, this is how we close December, which I also made this joke on the chat. I said not planned, but this could have been toxic masculinity December, or testosterone December. Because we had the Searchers, we had John Wayne and the Searchers at the beginning, and then we had all the dudes from 44-inch chest, and now we have these two asshole actors trying to, as Penelope Cruz puts it, like it's a dick measuring contest through this entire week of rehearsals that they have. So I think that we're gonna, well, actually no, never mind, because I know what our first episode of 2026 is, and that probably has also some testosterone going for it. But whatever the case, December. We're closing December. We're closing 2025 with a Spanish-Argentinian comedy with two Spanish superstars and some dude that neither of us knows.
This is true. And as I said, Julio, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Which quotes did you pull for us?
Una gran película. Con un gran director, con actores de renombre. Con los mejores.
All right, Official Competition, 96%. Fresh quotes from the Rotten Tomatoes website. We're going to start with Stacy Yvonne from Stacy Yvonne Creative. It says, Official Competition is such a fascinating film that can either be watched with a bowl of popcorn or a notepad and pen and a glass of wine. How did you watch it, Alex?
Calm down. I watched half of it on my laptop and then the other half on TV while I was eating my dinner.
I was pleasantly surprised that it was on Netflix.
Yeah, you texted me that after I had watched the first half on Tubi.
Oh. So the second half went a lot faster?
Oh, the ads weren't really... It was one of those days where I lucked out and they weren't really too much to speak of.
Well, it's on Netflix, so Netflix and chill. You can bowl of popcorn, notepad, pen, and glass of wine, or chill. Mm-hmm. You have lots of options to watch Official Competition. Matt Brunson from Film Frenzy says, fans of Hollywood insider flicks like The Player and SOB should dig this lively endeavor. The Player, famously covered on The Contrarians. a while ago. SOB, Alex, do you know what SOB is?
I don't know. I'm assuming we do love a movie about making a movie, and that's what this is here. So I assume SOB is something similar.
Yes, it is. I haven't seen it, but it's from 1981. SOB, written and directed by Black Edwards, starring Julie Andrews and William Holden. Here's the synopsis. A successful movie director makes the most expensive film in his career, and it becomes a huge flop. He tries to salvage his career by reshooting the film as an erotic production.
Respect.
It's from the 80s, so 82% on Tomatometer, by the way. So, no, it might be in our future. Right, next, James Crude from The Post, New Zealand, says, it's comedy with an edge, a more than satisfying ending, and a haunting final image. What's the final image in this movie, Alex? Is it Penelope Cruz just breaking the fourth wall?
Yeah, she's just like staring at you.
Doing the Michael Myers breathing from the end of Halloween?
A jerk-off instructional video, yeah.
Is it really haunting? I feel like we've covered movies that...
What's awesome about this movie is that in the end, like one of the last lines of the movie, like tells you whatever you think this is about, it's not what it's about. So, well.
Yeah, that is something that I could see. I could see Ben saying that. Mm-hmm. But that line doesn't come from the Martinez character, from Ivan. Anyway, when I think of haunting final images, I know it's not exactly the final image, but Toni Collette farting into a lighter at the end of...
what is that movie called? It's got LaPaglia in it. Yeah,
it was our last PJ party. Well, if you guys were with us 2 summers ago, you know what we're talking about. That haunts you. Stays with you. Anyway, Sean P. Means. We're going to close with Sean P. Means from the movie Cricket, who says, a lacerating, yet oddly still loving satire of how movies are made.
Was it Going Mental? Was that the name of it?
Mental. Just Mental. Just okay. Mental. Okay, Mental is a movie where Toni Collette farts fire.
Yes, I did see the word satire a lot in things surrounding this movie.
That part I get, but the loving part, I'm not sure. I don't see any love in this movie towards anything or anyone. This is not a love letter to filmmaking or a love letter to actors or directors. This is just a horrible, nasty takedown.
That is a bold way of wording this movie.
Sean P. Means you're too nice. Or maybe it went over your head, Sean. It's possible. That was the last quote. Let's go to Contrarians Corner, Alex.
Sus películas, La lluvia invertida de 1996, su ópera prima aclamada en todo el mundo. El vacío 2001, muy extraña, no tan celebrada como la anterior. Bruma 2015, considerada su obra maestra.
Upon his 80th birthday, Humberto Suarez, an aging multimillionaire, wonders about his legacy and considers financing the construction of a bridge. Instead, he decides to finance a film so that people will look fondly upon his legacy. He selects the reclusive Palme d'Or laureate, Lola Cuevas. All right, I'm going to rely on you. I'm going to do my best, but to be the director, with the screenplay being adapted from a Nobel Prize-winning novel titled Rivalry, about a man who is unable to forgive his brother for killing their parents in a drunk driving incident. So, Julio, God, what a blessed life to just be 80 and be like, I'm going to produce a movie.
Because a bridge sounds too boring. Did you feel reassured that rich, old, white people suck no matter which country you're in? Or like, oh, this could be taking place in the United States.
Yeah, just how like careless they are with their money. And like, if I'm 80 and I have that much money, I don't know, I want to do something better with it.
Well, that's the thing, because he wants to be remembered. Who remembers who finances movies? Nobody. You remember the director and the actors.
I mean, in a lot of cases of movies from our childhood, Julio, we don't want to remember who financed them. But
okay, well, assuming that this guy doesn't have any skeletons in his closet.
I know exactly what you mean, because only like true perverts like, you know, you, me, and the people who would listen to this podcast like know like executive producers on movies, or, you know, normal people don't do like what you and I would do. Like, I'm thinking of, you know, Brad Pitt was an executive producer on 12 Years a Slave. Like, we see that credit and we turn to the other one and, point at the screen. That's not what like normal people do. You know what I mean?
And even somebody like us, Alex, I mean, so okay, Halloween, right? You love Halloween. You know a lot about Halloween. But that Carpenter was one of the creatives. He wrote it, he directed it, it was his vision. But who gave him the money? Like, we don't know that, right?
Mustafa Cod.
God damn it, you do know that. Okay, but that's because, Halloween, that was a terrible example. I should have picked like something a little more obscure, but that you still love. You get my point. Everybody gets my point. The financiers are not the ones that get the recognition. The artists do. And then maybe the big name producers. But this dude's just a regular guy that had to choose between building a bridge or making a movie. I mean, that is not... I think that his plan is flawed.
Yeah, and then it's even more annoying because it becomes like incredibly apparent very quickly that he has no idea. His ear is not to the ground with the film industry. He's not a fucking cinephile. He's just kind of like, oh, okay. He doesn't really seem to know who Penelope Cruz's character is. And he said he didn't even read the book the movie's going to be based on. So, I understand you get older, you start to like panic about your mortality. And I guess you just kind of throw caution to the wind with some projects. But the point of this is it's not like if you, me, Ben, the fine folks who listen to our podcast in most cases, if they had the resources, we try to make like the greatest movie of all time, but
right. The people who know ball.
Yes, exactly. Get Aaron Sorkin on the phone.
Get James Cameron.
Yeah. Oh God.
Forget about Avatar.
There's some Cameron-esque moments in this for sure. But so anyway, that's what sets up the beginning of the movie. Is we get a lot of close-ups of Penelope Cruz explaining the premise. The big part is though she doesn't give away the ending
to us.
To us, correct. But the billionaire here, Humberto, man, he was eating what appeared to be just an unbelievable ice cream sundae of sorts. It made me very sad that I didn't have ice cream in my house. It had even like the little fucking Pepperidge Farm graham cracker straw in it. I was like, damn, dude.
Did you lose respect for Penelope Cruz because she declined to partake? Or did you gain respect for her because she resisted the temptation?
She's an artiste, man, So, the two brothers are set to be played by acclaimed stage actor Ivan Torres and celebrity actor Felix Rivero. Ivan is a method actor who has extensively prepared for his character's past, while Felix is more of a mainstream Hollywood type who finds Ivan's methods pointless. So immediately we're met with two different schools of thought here. We first get like the introductory scene when they're going over, their past accolades and achievements. Meanwhile, the first version of the script of this movie appears to be like the burn book from Mean Girls that Penelope Cruz has put together. And I did panic. I was like, dude, are they gonna is she like a manic pixie dream girl? Which she's not, but yeah. So it's just the odd couple, but what they have in common is they're both massively egotistical actors. And they're dealing with a director who thinks that she is, God's gift to the industry. I can't say with certainty, Julio, who either of these guys are supposed to be based on, but it's pretty obvious what they're going for here is it's the Daniel Day-Lewis types against Channing Tatum or some shit.
Man, Tatum must be beaming with pride that he got to be Banderas in this comparison.
I'm just trying to think of someone who you would think of as a mainstream,
who's not method, but is Tom Cruise,
Dwayne.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, imagine Dwayne and who's a fucking asshole? Vincent Gallo on the other side of the table.
Well, Vincent Gallo would be directing.
Yes. And then Dwayne would try to find the vision in it all. Banderas, attractive as hell, an immediate womanizer, which is just too on the nose, man. And we're going to see with this movie, Julio, what it's attempting is very obvious, but it's so riddled with caricatures and cliches that it oftentimes just comes across that it thinks it's a lot smarter than it actually is, or more clever than it actually is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those movies where we get the setup and then we already know what the payoff is going to be. We're going to make a movie. In fact, Penelope Cruz basically tells the investor in the beginning, before the title screen even hits us, the cold open is her explaining to this guy what the movie's going to be about. She's like, these two actors have very different methods. They've never worked together. I think that them working together is going to make for a great movie. She literally pitched the movie that, I guess, the way they pitched it to the actual producers in the real world. It's like, Banderas, Martinez, Cruz, let's go. The problem is that I thought that we were going to get a movie about the making of a movie. That's what this is pitched at. That's what, as an audience member, I was expecting. But instead, we got a movie about the rehearsal before the movie's made, which is not as interesting. When I think of a movie about making movies, I always think of a very lively atmosphere, a lot of energy, a lot of like stuff going on, a lot of people going in and out. But this movie is just the three characters talking, and because they're rehearsing, they're repeating the same thing over and over. The jokes are the same over and over. And they're these vast sets that are desolate. There's like an assistant that comes in and out every now and then. Banderas has this guy that helps him a little bit. But for the most part, it's just so different from what I think when I think of a movie that's about making a movie. They focus on the boring part of making a movie, the pre-production. I wanted the actual production. Were you disappointed that we didn't get to see the actual shooting of the movie?
Bueno, ¿qué os parece si hacemos un pequeño ejercicio?
Sí.
¿Cómo ves tú tu personaje, Iván?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we love movies about making movies. I immediately thought of My Week with Marilyn, because that's the majority of the movie is the chaos on set because Marilyn won't come out of her dressing room, even like a fictionalized version of this with Tropic Thunder. That's how the movie starts, is how everything's, hitting the fan and they're already well over budget and whatnot. Yeah, here, if you're going to do the drama that leads into it, at least do the fun stuff. When they were teasing Penelope Cruz and Antonio Banderas hooking up, I was like, all right, we might be cooking here. But then, of course, it goes nowhere.
Do you have a preference for the type of acting as displayed in this movie? Who do you believe? If you have to subscribe to a school of acting, are you with the method Daniel Day-Lewis actor as presented here? Or do you want the salt of the earth Dwayne Johnson as presented by Antonio Banderas?
There's nothing grounded or salt of the earth about Dwayne Johnson, but I can't believe we didn't make that Tropic Thunder comparison earlier. That's Tug Speedman and Kirk Lazarus. That's their whole clash in that movie is,
That's right.
Downey Jr. That's the whole point of what he's. Well, anyway, Tropic Thunder is an incredible film. It's only gotten better with age. But anyway, you know me. I have respect for both sides of it. I do find as this movie progresses, the moments where the, would-be popcorn actor uses acting to finesse the situation over the, Shakespearean trained thespian or whatnot. So it's funny because I said Daniel Day-Lewis earlier, but he's never one of those guys that has, come out and really acted. But like Russell Crowe's a great example. He seems to have lightened up in older age, but there's periods of time where you can find interviews with Russell Crowe where he acts like he's above, like he, all of his peers are beneath him because of, the art of it all.
Oh, dude, just today, I think there was headlines everywhere quoting an interview he did where he started talking shit about Gladiator 2.
Hell yeah. Well, good on him. He's back, baby. And to say, nothing of what parts of this movie lead to, where, questioning the writing. I just came across a clip this week of Arnold on a radio show talking about he wanted the line in the first Terminator because he was still in the process of, really learning English, and he was having problems with L's, and he wanted to say, I will be back instead of I'll be back because it was easier for him to say. And he's like, James, what if I say I will be back? And he said, and Jim Cameron looked at me and goes, are you the fucking writer? No, I am.
Well, Penelope Cruz has a moment like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess I don't know if I have a preference one way or the other, but I will say I find Antonio Banderas, even as like manipulative as he is in this movie, to be a bit more charming than Ivan.
I think he's more approachable, probably because if either of us was actors,
His last,
if either of us were an actor,
yeah, not last. His first like real line in the movie is he's talking about he has like I think 4 or 5 children, and Penelope Cruz is like all from the same person. He's like all from this guy, and he points to his dick.
I'm glad that translated.
Yes, that was very good. So Lola proves herself to be highly eccentric, a director who makes extensive notes and requires increasingly bizarre exercises of her actors, such as forcing them to repeat single lines or words until she believes they are convincing enough. I do have in my notes here, this is one of the legendary, or infamous, I should say, stories about the production of the End of the Century album with the Ramones.
Is that the one that they recorded while there was a giant boulder hanging over their heads?
Yes. That's the one album they did with Phil Spector. And there's the story of doing like a recording of Rock and Roll High School. And allegedly Phil made Johnny play like the opening, like the opening chord like 100 times in a row. And yeah, that's kind of immediately what I thought of in this situation. But let's just get to it, Julio. We've covered movies like this on the podcast before. How many times did you have flashbacks to Whiplash? Just of the trope of the difference being, though, in that movie, greatness is wanted. It's not just done for the sake of weird for the sake of being weird.
Yeah, and also I think that there's a lot more at stake. Here's me identifying another serious problem with this movie. Okay, so number one was that it's just about the rehearsals, not about the making of the movie. Number two is that any of these people can walk away from the project at any moment, and that's it. They all three of them are very successful. So the only person that would get screwed would be the 80-year-old millionaire that would still be a millionaire if the movie doesn't go through. So there's no stakes. They're just like stroking their egos and playing at making a movie. And if the movie actually happens, then that's great. If it doesn't happen, nobody loses anything. So I think that's the Whiplash comparison illuminates that, right? Because there's so much at stake in Whiplash, whether it is that, what's his name? Andrew, right? Miles Teller's name in Whiplash. I think it's Andrew.
I don't remember.
Miles Teller's life is drumming. So if he disappoints J.K. Simmons, that has serious consequences. And in fact, it does. And same thing, J.K. Simmons, he's an asshole, but you can tell that there is something that he cares about this performance so much that if Miles Teller fucks it up, then there are repercussions on his end as well. So that's a movie, that's a story where things matter. Nothing matters in this movie. It's just everything is an excuse for the next joke and for the next time that we're going to see these very different actors clash, and then the director eggs them on. So even though we know that they only have 9 rehearsals, before they start the movie, and even though we know that there's no guarantee that this project is going to come together because the director is so weird and quirky, and these guys are so set in their ways. I mean, I don't know, Alex, did you ever fear any sort of outcome? Like, were you at any point rooting for something not to happen? Because I was just watching it and I was like, I get what you guys are doing, but if the old guy decided to pull the funding tomorrow, everybody goes back to their lives and nobody's going to be disappointed.
So having seen the amount of movies similar to this that I have, Tropic Thunder comes to mind, like we said, but also, the dark comedies, there's, like Observe and Report, or what is that Jesse Eisenberg movie I really liked? The Art of Self-Defense. Like, yeah. Movies like this, you get vibes, and I figured out, like, probably by the end of the first act, I'm like, all right, there's going to be some dramatic, like, happening of violence in this. I was like, someone is probably going to die at some point.
Wow.
And it'll happen in a very, comedic or shocking way.
You were the Zach Galifianakis meme with the numbers, just analyzing the first 20 minutes of the movie.
So it's worth calling out now that we get repeated cuts to like Antonio Banderas training. I don't know if I wouldn't call it judo, but he, different types of martial arts. And you got to wonder if that's going to reappear at some point in the movie.
Muy bien, venga, lo hacemos con un poco más de velocidad, ¿vale?
But see, they got me because I saw that and I was like, that's random. And I probably at the time I thought maybe this will pay off, but I don't see how this relates to the movie that they're making. Because at first I thought that maybe he was training for something that had to do with the movie. But then as the movie went on, there's times where just random shit happens that doesn't have a payoff, unlike the thing with Banderas training. For example, there's a scene later on where like the character of the daughter of the financier is just dancing in front of Penelope Cruz's bed, and it goes on for like 5 minutes.
It is long.
And it has no relevance to anything else. So, I mean, kudos to the movie if the whole purpose of all these random scenes was to throw me off the fact that one of those random scenes actually was going to have a very important payoff in the ending.
Just stacking these crates of chickens and watermelons. You got to wonder if it's going to pay off later in the movie.
Man, but Alex, okay, so you figured out so early, and there's only, 5 characters total in this movie? So you knew that Banderas was going to use his powers, his violence against one of them?
Well, I didn't know that part, but I could see, like, it's one of those movies, there's too much, like, room for error. Like, there's the industrial shredder, and then there's the boulder that we learn is fed. Let me just go ahead and cover that. Refusing to show up at rehearsals. This is back to Lola's behavior. At one point, dangling a large boulder over the heads of Ivan and Felix via a crane to emulate the tension of the scene they are rehearsing. But it's revealed that, it's cardboard after she says, it's 5 tons. One session involves Ivan and Felix being tied to chairs, and they are forced to watch as Lola crushes their various awards in an industrial shredder, including a handmade one that was given to Ivan by disabled students at a school where he once taught. I knew something when he told that story. I knew something bad was going to happen. But so at this point, I'm like, there's too much that can go wrong. And so I just assumed, I didn't know if I said someone was going to die. I just knew something was going to happen. Even Antonio Banderas gets like cut in the face during their first day of rehearsals and whatnot. But so they're not just tied to chairs, they're saran wrapped together because yes. Penelope Cruz wants them to become one. And I have in my notes here said, oh my God, this is just that episode of Community where the dean's making the movie. Do you remember the episode I'm talking about?
I mean, I'm sure I've seen it.
Where Jeff becomes the dean and then Chang is his understudy. And like the dean he keeps like coming up with all these weird things and these method acting rules he wants Jeff to follow. It's very funny. And it's very like this of just like completely ludicrous. But I did feel bad that their awards got smashed.
Did it make you laugh though? Like you felt bad, but you also laughed, or was it just awkward?
Any like smile I had was immediately dissipated when Antonio Banderas tried to beat up Penelope Cruz.
Yeah, that was intense.
But yeah, the award from the school that I've taught at, it's so like pretty and like he's so proud of it, and he's just like, no, not that one, and she just very slowly puts it in the shredder. She's a real bitch during this scene, but she says it's to build character and instill. I can't remember the word she says that she's trying to build, but it's to get
something like an exercise about ego, or just she destroys her own awards too.
That's right. Yeah. Well,
I mean, if you'll allow me to rewrite this so it's actually funny. Yeah, because this is what I thought was going to happen.
She throws the Palme d'Or in there, so
yeah, a little name dropping. Especially because the way they set it up with the boulder, she tricked them with the boulder. It was a fake boulder. Which, by the way, how do you not notice that the boulder hovering over your head is cardboard? Like, how dumb are these guys?
Well, they're actors,
Oh, they were focused on their characters, but they prove that she likes to play mind tricks. And she's resourceful, and she'll go through great lengths to present these illusions, right? She hired a whole crane. Like, the crane is real. The boulder is fake, but the crane that's holding the boulder is real. So when she pulled this stunt with the awards, especially because she has them saran wrapped several rows back, so they're not close to the stage, and she has them open the curtains. Her assistants open the curtains, and then there's the awards and there's the industrial shredder. So my first thought was, oh, these are not the real awards. Right? There was just some trickery, and that's why they're far away, and also why the curtains were closed. So there was time to replace the real awards with fakes, and she's destroying fakes. So I'm like, that makes sense. That's funny. because it's there's no tragedy. And then if you want to make it really funny, it could be that the one award that accidentally does get destroyed is the one from the disabled kids, because then it's funny, twice. It's funny when you realize that they've been tricked, and then it's extra funny when you realize that Penelope Cruz fucked up and actually destroyed a real award.
Mm-hmm.
None of that happens. I kept waiting for the big reveal that they were fake awards, and instead, like you said, Antonio Banderas just goes nuts, and he doesn't quite get physical, but he does the next best thing, Alex. He threatens to sue, which now I'm like, is this happening in America? You'll hear from my lawyer. Yeah,
it ends up costing like $83,000. And in classic director fashion, she just pawned it off on the producer. She's like, not mine to worry about.
What do you think of the epilogue to that sequence, though, which shows Ivan, the Daniel Day-Lewis actor, just playing with the shredder and destroying other stuff?
Well, is that the music that he listens to with his wife later in the movie?
What he's destroying? I don't know. He throws. You see, if he was destroying his own awards, I'll be like, oh, this is a show. This is showing growth. He just realized that he really doesn't need the awards, and he's destroying them, and he's freeing himself. But he's just throwing random shit in there, because he throws a microphone stand, and he throws a rubber duck. So I was like, what are we trying? We're supposed to get out of this?
He's an artiste, man.
He found a way to express himself.
That's right. One day during rehearsals, Felix tells Lola and Ivan that he has been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and is on palliative care, hoping that rivalry will be his final masterpiece. Ivan privately suggests to Lola that he could double up in order to play both brothers if Felix ends up being unable to complete the project. Felix later confesses to them. It's not later, it's the next scene. Or the next day, excuse me. Felix later confesses to them both that his diagnosis was a lie and that he used it in order to prove to the pair that he could fool them with his acting. Ivan commends his performance and tells him that he believes Felix is a better actor, before revealing that he, too, was a lie as a payback. So, yeah, this big reveal here that he's sick. He has a really great line, at least the translation of it is, "I want death to catch me living my life."
Yeah. That was pretty accurate. I double checked it. Yeah. It's like, I get the joke. I feel like the punchline needed to come in much sooner, because instead Banderas has this big, heavy reveal. And I don't know about you, Alex, but I kept waiting, because I figured this is a comedy. There's no way that this is really happening, right? This is him faking it to get them. But then the scene ends and there's no gotcha. And then the next scene is Penelope Cruz on the phone with her assistant crying and being sad. And then the next scene is her talking to Ivan about like this new development. So, and in between there's like these cuts where Martinez is like, Ivan is researching pancreatic cancer on his computer.
So good.
And then Banderas is like at a McDonald's or somewhere with like his hat and his sunglasses eating, and he looks miserable. So did you buy it? I guess because I went through first expecting the reveal that, oh, it's not cancer, he's fucking with them. And then they just played it for so long that I'm like, oh God, it sucked the fun out of it, because I thought that maybe that was something that was really happening. I'm like, how do you laugh again after you have Banderas have a terminal disease that's going to kill him? Maybe even while they're making the movie. So by the time that they revealed that, oh, no, he was lying, it was just too late. I just didn't find it funny at all.
¿Cómo voy a estar enfermo? Mira la pinta que tengo. No. Lo hice como una performance para vosotros. Una pequeña demostración actoral.
And then, like, the way this plot synopsis puts it isn't really as mean-spirited as when Ivan recommends that he can play both parts to Lola, saying, one can have a beard and the other one won't. He's just gunning for like, top billing times 2.
And then he gives her a massage. He
does. And it looks like it's going to lead somewhere. And then Antonio Banderas enters the scene wearing The Rock's $500 shirt from 1999.
So did the movie get you? Did you think that he was really sick and the movie was just getting really dark? Or did you know from the very beginning?
I did, but I wasn't sure where it was going to go. Like, I knew there was going to be some sort of comedic or like vindictive payoff, but I wasn't sure how we were going to get there. So yeah, he refers to it as an acting demonstration. And then, yeah, when Ivan gets his payback on him. He refers to what he does, what Felix does, as pure banal entertainment. I was like, God damn. And then we have this interstitial of Penelope Cruz looking into the camera, trying to teach herself the floss, which was a really popular dance in 2021.
Oh, so that was a thing?
Yeah, it would have actually I think that was like pre-COVID. Is that like a Fortnite thing? I think it is. Yeah. So just they shoehorned this in for the kids in the crowd, you know?
It's a hell of a timestamp that went over my head, because by now we met the daughter, and that sequence that I referenced where she's dancing in front of Penelope Cruz. So I thought that she was trying to dance like the girl had danced before. I didn't know what the floss was. Just went over my head. I think as good as Ivan is, as Oscar Martinez is in his payback trick, I kind of feel like you just can't beat the cancer gag. Like, it didn't work for me, but in the world of the movie, after Antonio Banderas fucks with them that hard, I don't know that you can really get him back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they shake hands, and Ivan says, we're tied. You got me, I got you. And they're even like, no, I think Banderas won. I think Banderas made you cry, made everybody cry. He got hugs, he got sympathy, he got to be late again. So yeah, no, I think that there's a clear winner in that scenario. The girl, Alex, because she's being introduced. How do you feel about that scene where they introduce the love interest in the movie, and it's the daughter of the investor, and she's there basically so that they can make out with her? And
the Diana, was that her name? But yeah, they have this, like, it looks like an old fucking, J. Edgar Hoover era press conference with how many mics they have rigged up here. And as the audience member, that was the last scene I watched on my laptop, so I had my headphones on for it, so it was even funnier because the sound is so intense of these kissing noises. So Antonio Banderas goes up and sucks face with this gal, and then Oscar Martinez goes up and a bit more, old-fashioned romantically, and then Penelope Cruz basically says, "Hold my beer," and goes up there and intensely makes out with this gal, and they end up, on the ground writhing around together. And there's a really funny shot, a wide shot of the producer and the two actors with their headphones on, just kind of watching it, in a state of incredulity.
Would it be funny if we didn't see it though? Especially because they've gone through all the trouble of setting up the audio to where it's, like I said, really loud. You can hear all the sucking. I was disappointed that we didn't just stay with the close up of the dad's face and the actors' faces.
Yeah,
and we never get to see.
And we just hear it. Yeah,
yeah. That's funny. Funny is funny.
Now that's comedy.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I guess you had to get Penelope Cruz riding that poor girl. It doesn't even pay off, man, because all you see about the character later is just her dancing, and I guess the dancing is an excuse to see that Penelope Cruz doesn't shave her armpits, which, I'm not going to pit shame here the Contrarians, but it feels like the movie's trying to make it a punchline.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, okay. You've done plenty to establish that she's very quirky and anti-establishment already, so we could have skipped this. So
yeah, they eventually end up doing a dry run of the final scene of the film. A bit of a screen test here. Eventually they reach the final film of the scene where Felix's character murders Ivan and takes over his brother's life. So that's the ending we were unaware of from the beginning. At a party held by Humberto to commemorate the film's starting of shooting, Felix overhears Ivan describe him as the worst actor he's ever worked with. Felix confronts him on the mezzanine floor within the building. Ivan attempts to punch Felix, who dodges the blow and uses one of these martial arts throws that he learned, and causes Ivan to fall from the mezzanine level to the hard floor below. It's concrete. He looks dead, but has been rendered comatose. Ivan's wife, assuming that he must have jumped, is comforted by Felix. Lola seems to recognize that Felix is merely acting. So yeah, Antonio Banderas, this happens. He has a brief freak out, and then he has the speech that, Michael Cera gives himself in Superbad in the mirror before he goes and tries to hook up with not Emma Stone. And then he just we watch as the audience the transformation of him looking himself in the mirror, and he just goes, everything's okay. And then the next time we see him, he's emerging at the scene of the crime and acting like, shocked like everybody else. And yeah, it is a pretty telling shot of Penelope Cruz kind of staring through tears, and she's doing the thing where she's kind of squinting her eyes a little bit, trying to see if she can make heads or tails of it.
So you think she'll figure it out?
That I don't know. I was more like, what's this movie trying to say? Actors are the worst people in the world?
Clearly.
I mean, I already knew that. I've watched professional wrestling for 35 years, so.
I think that because this movie doesn't have anything to say about the characters, that's the problem. Like, whether she figures it out or not, it doesn't matter because the show goes on. And so it would be different if we knew for sure that she figures it out and she decides to continue with the production. But if that's the case, it doesn't really tell me anything about her character that I didn't know already, because the movie has established that she's pretty determined to make things happen. Like the art, her movies, her projects are the top priority. So it doesn't really surprise me that she would figure out or suspect that Antonio Banderas killed the other guy and be like, well, fuck it. We just have to keep going. At the same time, if she figured it out and she decided to stop the movie because they've crossed the line, that would tell me something interesting. They'd be like, oh, so the whole movie was about finding the point where Penelope Cruz would just stop and become a human being instead of just a driven artist. But that's not what happens. Instead, we just get this ambiguous thing of, does she know, does she not know? And then it doesn't matter because what happens later in the movie doesn't shed any more light on it.
Repíteme eso que has dicho antes de mí. Viejo de mierda, resentido.
A ver si es cierto que no se te puede tocar la cara. A ver.
So then the big reveal comes where we get like a montage of what ends up happening next. We proceed with the shooting, and then we end up at the premiere or like the awards festival, Venice or TIFF Film Festival. I don't know which one, take your pick. But the big reveal is of the banner for Rivalry, in which both roles are played by Felix, one with a beard and one without. And then we get the always hilarious, I don't know if they still do these quite the same, but those awards or film festival screening Q&As that always result in some very bizarre questions. I immediately am thinking of, I can't remember what the movie was for, but when that interviewer asked Tom Hardy if he was gay, and he was just like, what? There's always a high probability of awkwardness at these, and I think this movie demonstrates that. As she's asked, Lola, the director's asked if she wondered what this movie would have been like if, Ivan had made it, and she's like, no. And Antonio Banderas, gets like his Oscar clip here where he, to himself, where he cries and says, mi hermano. He is remorseful that Ivan couldn't make it into the movie. But more importantly, Lola denies, any patriarchal meaning in the movie and says what I wish more people would say. I've quoted John Carpenter saying this about, let's take it back to Halloween before, when people come up with these crazy theories. She says, I think she calls it reductive, that people put their own ideologies and narratives into, the meaning of movies. Which I was like, okay, Queen, go off. Shuts down the reporter on that one real quick.
She's chewing gum through this entire thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sunglasses on. She's like drawing, looking down. Yeah.
She's like the worst. How is this supposed to work, Alex? It kept coming back to me during the movie. And then when I saw the banner with the two Banderas, I thought about it again. How is this supposed to work? Even whether you had the same actor playing the two characters.
Army Hammer, Social Network, man.
No. That part I get, but they're supposed to be playing brothers throughout so many years. Like, I got the feeling that this story spanned decades.
I don't want to hear it from you, Mr. Benjamin Button.
Okay, so you're telling me that they have the technology, that the aging technology, is that what we're doing? Because that's a missed opportunity that nobody ever, especially the classic actor, like Ivan should have said, like, hey, why am I reading for the character when he was like 20?
Yeah.
When I'm in my 60s. And then Penelope Cruz can go on about how, because this guy is a millionaire, he will finance the use of de-aging technology, and then Ivan should have said something like, oh, well, I'm a classically trained actor. I'm not going to put all that shit, like all those dots on my face. I don't know, like the possibilities are endless, and they didn't do that. They should have at least acknowledged it, because I was wondering the entire time, I was like, these guys sound old. Are they just going to be played by different actors, younger actors? And then, so why are they even rehearsing these scenes? And then at the end, right, one brother kills the other, and he comes back, and the voiceover is supposed to say that everybody just accepts that the brother that comes back is the same brother that, got killed, and nobody challenges it, even though it doesn't make sense. But then it's different, because now when Banderas is playing both characters, now it makes perfect sense. It's one twin replacing the other twin. So, I don't know. I just felt that there was something that wasn't working in that movie that they were making to begin with. And I wish that somebody would have called it out. But instead, it's just basically the what you would expect. Like, the movie's a success, apparently, and everybody gets their happy ending. What do you think of when you get to the end, that final reveal, Alex, when Ivan gets his Nicolas Cage and Face Off scene where he just wakes up?
Also, it's important to call out that we get a clip of Suarez dedicating a bridge that, it's implied he financed. So he did both the things he wanted to. Dude, it's great. Felix, you son of a bitch. He wakes up, and then this is being voiced over by Penelope Cruz, who talks about when does the end of a movie come. And then that's when we get the shot we talked about at the beginning of Contrarians Corner of her just kind of staring into your eyes for just a bit too long. If you were on the bus and she was sitting across from you and you guys locked eyes for that long. Well, if it's Penelope Cruz, I'm going to be like, all right, well, hold on. But
you'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm not more familiar with your filmography.
But you're very pretty, and I know you're rich. Can I treat you to a Whataburger?
Do you agree, though, with what she's saying? Is this a movie? Because she's implying that this is one of those movies that she's referring to at the end. Mm-hmm. That this is a movie where it doesn't end because it just stays with you. I feel that's a little presumptuous. Yeah. No, I don't agree with that. But, it's her the dean, again, in Community, the way, talking about her art. And, if she's talking about the movie at hand, the movie that we just watched, I think she's got a little bit too much dip on her chip. Way off the mark. Yeah. Like, unless you have a podcast, I think this one is one that you're like, all right, that happened. What do you recommend next, Netflix? All right, let's go get dinner. Yeah. But that was official competition. I think it's literally that. Competencia oficial, I guess. They didn't go wild with the translation for the title, which, I would have expected it to call it Rivalry. Because, it's the title of the book that they're adapting. Made more sense, yeah. But, what do we know? We are not 80-year-old men with money to spare, so don't follow our advice. But that was it, Alex. It was. You ready? Yeah, I think this is going to be we got through that easier than I thought we would. And I think the second half of this Real Talk is going to be a pretty interesting discussion. So I say we move on over. Let's do it.